Welcome. I'm Ann Campbell. I teach at the University of Central Arkansas in Conway, Arkansas. And I'm here today to deliver a money magic message to you on College Week Live. I'm so glad that you've tuned in. I'd like to ask you, where do you think the magic comes from? Well, it comes from you, and you can do it. And I'm here to share some tips and tricks with you today. The great thing about money magic is that you will be rewarded when you do the things that are really going to help you make magic with your money. Now, a lot of times, do you ever have money that burns a hole in your pocket? Well, for me, being a lady, it actually burns a hole in my pocketbook. And if I'm not very careful, my money can go up in smoke. Well, today, I'm going to cover some tips and tricks to hopefully help that from not happening to you. The things that I want to talk about is that I want you to know who you are. Very important. What do you really want in life? I want you to know some of the basics to cover. Just like in a home run, you have to cover all four bases. We'll talk about those. And then what are you willing to do to really make magic with your money? The objectives is that you'll get to know yourself better, that you'll understand the wonderful technology that helps you today. You'll learn also trustable resources. Very important because none of us can do this all alone. And I want you to follow your passion. You're in college, you're learning a skill. I hope you're going to go in a field where you can follow your passion. Now, what happens in March? It's right around the corner, just a couple months away, sports-wise. It's a ball game. It's all about basketball. And who won the Final Four for the women? There's also a women's Final Four, and that was the University of Connecticut. Last year in Atlanta, they had the Final Four, and who won that one? Louisville. So that's a very exciting time, and it's coming up again. Well, the people in the financial area decided, hey, that's so much excitement, why don't we create a Final Four for money? And let's have March Madness for money. So they did. There are two associations. One is called the National Endowment for Financial Education, NEFI we call it, and the other is the Financial Planning Association. They went together and they set up all these brackets, just like they set up brackets for the Final Four in basketball. And they said, okay, they got lots of people to weigh in. I voted. Teachers voted, financial planners voted. I am a certified financial planner. And we all got people, hundreds of people to vote and say, okay, what would be the most important 4 things for people to do with their money that would make them successful? And let me share with you what we found out. You narrowed it down to the final 4. The final financial 4, it would be live within your means. So important to do as early as you can. Just live within your means and don't spend more than you make. Make sure that you have adequate insurance coverage. Make sure that your insurance for the really catastrophic things covers you. And then by all means, have an emergency fund. Start putting some money away and just get into the savings habit. When you're in college as a college student, you don't have a lot of money to save. But if you'll just get into a savings habit, if it's only $1 a week. But at any rate, have an emergency fund and then control your credit and don't get in debt, particularly bad negative debt that's difficult to get out of. So those are the financial 4. Now, with my students, there are 3 areas that we start with on getting to know yourself. The first thing is know what you value. What do you value? A lot of people, you know, their technology, their time, their music, graduation, all of those are very important things to value. Your education, it's so important. But then what is your vision? And our students spend a lot of time on this. What vision do you have of yourself in the future? Not just today, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. So what is that? Paint a picture of your future and see what you want to be and where you want to be. It will define your purpose in life, and it'll make everything else so much more fun to do and be doing. And then the third thing that I have people look at is the mission. So you know your values, and you want to know also what your mission is, your vision and your mission. So that would be, what's your purpose? What do you want to be? Clarify your priorities. It keeps you motivated. You'll look at your strengths and your passions and your gifts. So once you know your values and your vision and your mission, you're getting to know yourself. So we do this in class, and students love it. They hadn't thought about it that much before. So I want you to think about that because it's so important, and it'll help you get other things done. Now, what do you want? If you've seen the bucket list, and about 3/4 of my college students have seen that. It's been out a few years, and now you can go to Redbox and get it, or Hulu, or other places, Netflix, and get it. But it's just a great, fun, sweet movie about a person who has a bucket list and another person he meets in the hospital, and they're both determined being terminally ill, who has the money to go check off that list. And it's just a delightful movie. So I recommend that you think, but what would be on your bucket list? So I think it's really important for you to write down your top 10. What are the top 10 things you'd like to do before you leave this earth? Which none of us know when that's going to be, but what would be on your top 10 bucket list to get done? And the other thing is then we work on financial goals, because it makes a lot more sense if you look at the broad picture and then you bring it down to what do you really need to get some of those things off your bucket list. What do you need to do financially? So goals are extremely important, extremely powerful. And then when we talk about insurance, it's very important to know that you want to really insure for the big stuff, not the little stuff. You want to prevent financial catastrophes, and you want to buy direct when possible. There's so many good websites now and that has leveled the playing field for all of us to be able to shop for insurance, eliminate the middle person out of that, and look for quality, but also really be able to find just what we need and not be sold more than we do need. But here's the real important one: liability, auto liability insurance. It's sort of like chapstick and American Express. You just don't want to leave home without it. You want to make sure that if you're driving a car, you may not have a collision on that car, but you need to be sure you have liability, because that pays other people if you were to cause a wreck or an accident and have bodily injury or have property damage. So let's talk about a little bit about balance and balance sheets. Balance sheet is figuring out where you are financially. Now, this sheet that I have up here, you can find on the web. You can go to Microsoft templates. You can Google those and find these free templates. And I use this one in class because it's very basic and simple, but it's self-calculating. So I think it's real important as a college student to find out how much, if you have student loans, how much you owe in student loans, just to find out where you are financially today. And don't be upset if you have a negative net worth, but you want to have a balance sheet with all your assets on one side and all your liabilities on the other to find out exactly where you are financially. And then it's also important to balance that checkbook. So, you want to know what you have in it. And the great thing today that's happened with technology is that there are all these great online banks which are easy to do. And then use a help to balance your budget. Now, what is a budget? It is a fabulous tool. I mean, fabulous. A lot of people used to think of it like as a straitjacket. No, no, no. It's just the opposite. It's what gives you freedom. If you're spending within the categories that you have, when you really have money to spend on something, you don't feel guilty about it. But you want to record your income when you receive it. You want to look at the expenses that you have and see which ones are fixed. Those are the ones you memorize. Those are like your housing and your transportation and things like that. And then your insurance, those, and your phone. Those are set. Then you want to list your variable monthly expenses. That would be your gas, food. College students spend a lot of money on food. And one way to reduce that is if you have a card for the dining hall, use it. When students start doing a daily spending diary and they see how much they're spending out, and then they have their goals that they want something else, they will start eating the dining hall so that they can reach their goals. That's why goals are really powerful. Creating a budget, list your extraordinary expenses, ones that don't come every month as well. Now, budget tracking, one of the best programs out there is called mint.com. There are others. Just look, if you have an iPhone, there are a lot of free programs that you can track it on your iPhone. If you have a Droid, you can also look for the free programs, look at the ratings and see which ones you like. But a lot of my students use mint.com, a lot use Expense Tracker. There are various ones, but get you a program that, and if you can see there on the mint.com, they have a great little graphs. They make it very, but they will list, the thing I like too, they will alert you. Like if you're getting low in your bank account, mint.com can be set. And many banks have their own proprietary software that you can load on your smartphone, and then they will also alert you when you're getting low on your bank accounts that you don't get those terrible, really embarrassing insufficient fund charges, because they're high. And it's like throwing money out the window of the car as you're going down the road. So make sure that you get something that helps you track that. And it's just important that you, like I say, have a balance sheet and balance your checkbook and balance your life. And it's important just to balance your life. And so one way to do that, I think, is to realize that a lot of times we'll have ourselves, and they may be kind of not real big, and then we have our families that are real important to us, and then we have our school and our careers that we're working on, and we're saying, wow, that's important, but now is it or is it not balanced? Well, what do we do to achieve balance here? You can see these are varying degrees. Well, the first thing you got to do is you need to actually get your heads together, and you're doing that today. You're tuned in, you're watching. I'm so glad. I appreciate that. Also, talk to your family members. Know what your path is and what you're working on, how much support you can receive there. And then also look into your careers and say, oh, wait, just getting our heads together doesn't achieve balance. You have to take another step. And here's the step you have to take. You have to actually pull together. Then voila, you have yourself. You have yourself and your family, and you have your career and your school. Otherwise, someone's going to get the short end. Someone's going to get the medium, and somebody's going to get the long, and they're all different and out of balance. So I hope for you that you will be able to have balance in your life and in your checkbook and on your balance sheet. Now, let's talk about saving money. In college, like I said, you can't save a lot, but you could get into the savings habit because there's always an emergency coming up. You want to make it a priority, but I want you to think about when you graduate, whatever you do, start a savings program. Make it a priority. Make it as automatically as possible. If you can have it drafted out of your bank account and then put over into a savings and just decide the day of the month that you want it and the amount, be realistic about that, and make it very regular, and so that you will build up something for an emergency fund that the Financial Force says is one of the most important things to do to really keep you stable financially. Now, years ago, there are 5 siblings in my family. I came from a big family, grew up out in the country at Mablevale, and so one of my little brothers, I had 3 brothers, and my youngest came to live with us for a year because he ran out of money at school. And so he was saving his money, and then he went back, and then he graduated. And when he graduated, I said, okay, how much are you saving? He said, oh, Marianne, I can't. I said, yes, you can, Mark. You can save a little money because you are out of school and you're working. So we sat down and we picked 2 different mutual funds. Now today you can look at mutual funds, and ones that would have a $3,000 minimum, you can get into them for $50 a month if you agree to have it automatically drafted from your bank account, which he did. And so in 4 years he was going to get married, and he said, how about that money that I was putting away? He just forgot about it because he prioritized it. He made it automatic. And I said, oh, look, and it just happened to be a good time in the market. And his money had doubled. And he talked to his wife, his fiance, Gail, and they're still very happily married. And he said, look, let's pay those credit cards down of yours, and let's start saving money. They started saving 13% of their money, and they were able to buy bigger homes, better cars, everything, because they always had that savings habit, and they could take advantage of opportunities because they had the money saved up. Now, Money Magazine put Mark and Gail on the cover of their magazine, and that's my brother, Mark Briscoe, and his wife, Gail Briscoe, and they are just have used that. They're very good little savers, and it's a real important life skill to have. So I just want you to get into that and realize it really will work for you. Again, I said if you use your magic to do these things, you'll be rewarded. Now then, here's some options for you when you get out and you start. Is that you might do the 10-10-80 rule or the 10-90 rule, and that would be that you would put 10% into your savings, and 10% into giving, and 80% into living on. So that's strictly up to you what you do to those percentages, but at the same time, try to get something to where you will put at least 10% away for both your emergency fund and towards start early to retirement. So because that makes a powerful difference if you start early. The magic of compounding is so magical. Albert Einstein said that it's the most powerful force in the universe. I mean, he was really overwhelmed by it, and he's a genius. He was just an amazing person. And so, at any rate, you too will realize that if you will start saving early. Now, let's talk about credit. This is really important that you realize that you want to build credit, and you may not have built that yet, but that's okay because you have a clean slate. But you want to have credit because it helps you get your mortgage, your cars, everything else. It's an important part of your financial fabric of your life. And so the thing is that you want to get a report, and I have all my students order their report, and some of them don't have it. They'll say your file is thin. That means you haven't had enough experience with credit to even have one, but several will have already something. And so you want to make sure that there are no mistakes on that report. You can click, there are 3 credit bureaus, and you'll get 1 free from each of the 3 a year. So what I recommend too is that you get 1 every 4 months from a different bureau. That way you're monitoring your credit year round. The other thing is a credit score. Well, there are educational credit scores. Right now, you don't get a free credit score. Eventually, consumer advocates, we're working on that to see that you will eventually be able to get your own credit score because they're selling it to other people. We should be able to get our copy. But at any rate, that will become, but you can get an educational score, and it's not really the FICO score, which is a gold standard of scores, but it is very close. And it gets you in the ballpark, and you're not charged for it, and you don't have to put a credit card up there. If you go to freecreditreport.com, that is not a free credit report. You have to put your credit card in on that one, and then they charge you a monthly fee if you don't cancel within 30 days for monitoring. I'd like about $17.50 a month. That's really something I don't want you to do. So anyway, but you can go to creditkarma.com, and it'll give you updates, and that's free, and it's in the ballpark. And another one is called credit.com. They have a credit tool. And the other one is Credit Sesame. They'll give you analysis of any debt or credit that you have. So all of those are free sites, and they're very helpful if you want to know credit score. These are also things that you can share with your families. My students will share it with their families. They'll say, look, here are these sites, and you can find out things. And so that's a good thing to share as well. Now, on your credit score, why is it important? Well, there are very many different things that make up that score, as you can see, but you'll see your payment history is the most important thing. Pay your credit cards on time, and one sure way to do that is to have it drafted automatically out of your checking account. So if you will have at least the minimum drafted, then you can send in additional payments if you choose to, but your minimum will always be there. So that is something you definitely want to do. And then why? Well, I'll tell you why about your credit score. First of all, it depends on whether or not you even receive a loan. The next thing, it will depend on how much interest you pay for that loan. You could be paying a low interest if you have a good score, or you could be paying a very high interest if you don't have any credit history or you don't have a high score. So that's why you want to build that credit history. And the other thing now, if you go to rent an apartment, they will run your a credit check on you because they want to make sure you're going to be able to pay the rent. So they can deny you an apartment if they run it on everybody who applies. They can do that. The other thing is a job. There are certain industries, such as financial industries, the law enforcement industries. If you have a bad credit score, they will not hire you. They do not want you working in sensitive areas if you aren't taking care of business yourself well. And then the last one, they have started in the last few years increasing your insurance premiums, particularly automobile, if you have bad credit. They feel like you're a bad insurance risk, and they can actually do that. So that affects a lot of different things, so it's really important to build it. And now that you're young and you have a clean slate, this is a good time to do that. Build it and protect it. And then if you have gotten in trouble, you can also clean that up yourself. Do not get involved with a credit scam of you paying somebody $500. They said, I'll clean it up. They cannot do anything that you cannot do for yourself. And so there are a lot of websites, particularly the Federal Trade Commission, that will tell you and show you how to clean up your score. All right, Let's talk about some ways to simplify your finances. Use the software that's out there. Right now, when you're a college student and your tax situation is very simple, use tax software to start doing it. Don't be afraid of taxes. I mean, it's why we live in this free country, and it's why we have so many of the services that we have. But there's no law that says you have to pay more than you owe. And students will ask me, they'll say, Dr. Mack, um, how what's the difference between tax avoidance and tax evasion? And I'll say, well, that's really easy. 15 years. I mean, you don't want to evade taxes, but you can avoid paying too much by getting to use some software early on and learning that the taxes don't have to be complicated. But the software has gotten very user-friendly, and it'll help you. Like I said, we talked about budgeting software, and then even Willmaker is a great software, and it will give you any legal documents you might need, as well as being able to make a legal will. And so those are really good softwares that are out there now that are so useful. Now then, let's talk about thrift. It's really important to use your library and to use both the public library after you get out of college or even in your hometown, as well as use your college library. You have access to so many magazines and research because of that wonderful little library card. And then think about things like boots. I mean, you can go get designer boots, or you can go to Target, which of course is Target, and get darling boots as well for about 1/10 the price. So, I mean, it's all a personal preference, but remember that being thrifty, particularly when you're in college, is cool. I have, in our college town, there are several thrift stores, and a lot of students use those, and it's a great way to still be fashionable and get through school and not be deep in debt. Another thing is to save money on your textbooks. I use half.com when I was working on my PhD. I bought a lot of my books on there, and I sold back a lot of my books on there because you had to have so many books. But go to your bookstore early with your list. Google those titles online. You can swap on Facebook, Craigslist, other places to be able to save money on textbooks, because textbooks have gotten extremely high. And you just want to really work at saving money. If you do that every semester, over 8 semesters, you're going to save hundreds of dollars. So used textbooks are fine, and find out, early what you need and shop them. Save on gas. That's another area where students really spend a lot of money. And so one thing to do is use air. Put air in your tires. It will use less gasoline. And change your air filters as well. You're going to use less gasoline. And then after saving on the gas, let's talk about investments. And this is exciting because there are only about 2 ways to invest. Now, students always like this when we get to this chapter because it's one way to get your money working while you're working. And so first understand that there's 2 basic ways. You're either going to loan your money out, which is the safest way to invest, or you're going to own something. So you're going to loan or you're going to own. And to loan your money out, you'd start first have savings accounts, money market accounts, CDs. And then if you're going to also, you can have income coming from loaning out with bonds, annuities, things like that. So that's the loaning part of investing. And then you have the owning part that's very exciting, because you're going to do growth things like stocks, mutual funds, ETFs, which is like a mutual fund picked out by a computer, more or less. And then those are those speculative investments where it can grow, but you can also lose a lot. You can also lose a lot with stocks, so that's riskier. And remember that when you're investing, risk is always directly correlated with return. So the higher the return opportunity, the higher the risk opportunity. So think, though, on building wealth as a student, one of the smartest things you can do is to start early. So as soon as you are out of college, start your retirement plan, start your emergency fund, start saving early. Have some investments. You might have 3 pots where you put emergency fund, my personal investments, and my retirement. You don't have to do retirement up to the full amount, but you just want to start it because the magic compound interest. You want to start early, you want to save consistently, and you want to keep your overhead low. And that's why a lot of times discount brokers and other things where you can go and keep Look for the families of mutual funds, whether it's Vanguard or T. Rowe Price or Fidelity or Charles Schwab or whatever, where you have the lowest overhead to be able to, for a long time, keep your cost low. Now, it's very important as well that you diversify. You don't put all of your eggs in one basket, just as I was saying, so that you would have different baskets where you would put them, so that you would have, and the way you would do that to diversify is that, let's say that if you started and you had, and let's just say that you started with, well, right here, excuse me, dollars. Okay, now can you see my dollars? Good. Let's say that you started and you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 investment dollars. The first thing you want to do is do something safe. Do something like you want to have a savings account. You want to have just money market funds so that you have maintained your 1, your 2, your 3, your 4, your 5, and your 6 investment dollars. Now, the next thing you might do some bonds. You can do some U.S. savings bonds. You can do some municipal bonds if people are in high tax brackets, or you can do some corporate bonds. And students ask me, they say, Dr. Mack, do bonds really have more fun? And I said, well, that depends on who matures first, you or the bond. But what you're trying to do, you're diversifying, and you want to maintain your 1, your 2, your 3, your 4, your 5, and your 6 investment dollars. Now then, we're going to do something a little more risky and a little more exciting, and that's stocks, that's growth. Let's get stock mutual funds, stock and bond mutual funds, ETF mutual funds, so that you've diversified and try to maintain your 1, your 2, your 3, your 4, your 5, and your 6 investment dollars. And last but not least is that speculative group. You can do collectibles, you can do real estate, you can do land. But what you want to do is diversify and maintain your 1, your 2, your 3, your 4, your 5, and your 6 investment dollars. Yes, hopefully. Hope that works for you too. Okay, so you want to diversify. Now, trustable resources. You really want to be able to trust the people that you're going to be able to work with. There's a lot on the internet, but you want to know who is not making money off of you, but who you really can trust be your advisor. One right here first I put up is Beverly Harzog, and she does wonderful things on credit. She just came out with a new book called Confessions of a Credit Junkie. It just came out in November. And she's a great one. And then you have Jane Bryant Quinn, very much a consumer advocate and very much will say it very straight like it is. Another person, Eric Tyson, is terrific. He writes wonderful things about money. And if you go to erictyson.com, which is his website, you will find his theme song, which was written by Paul Schaefer for with the David Letterman band playing it. It's a wonderful, delightful song, but I really like everything that Eric writes. He's so great. And then Liz Weston is a fabulous financial journalist. All these people shoot straight. You can trust them. And then there are publications like Consumer Reports and Kiplinger's. Consumer Reports puts out Money Advisor. It doesn't have any advertising in it. It's all about, so a lot of times they'll rate insurance companies. It's one thing to pay a premium, but how do these companies pay on their claims? They publish that. So get your library to order these things. Kiplinger's magazine, get it through your library, get it online, use your library card like I was talking about. And then the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is a new bureau. There is a new watchdog in town for our money. I'm so excited about this federal agency. And so they're helping with student loans. They're helping to reduce the high fees on payday loans and things that were really very egregious. And so I'm so thrilled that that is in town. So just know about that, and you can get information there as well. Now, what is your passion? This is a very important thing for you to think about and to follow. And a few years ago, I was going to D.C. I had a presidential appointment there, and we got invited to spend the night at the White House. And I was going to testify before Congress for the next day, and I thought, oh my gosh, I never thought I'd be invited to do that, but I was. And we didn't know till we got there that we were going to be in the Lincoln bedroom, and then across the hall in the Queen's bedroom that was going to have dinner with us was none other than, whoops, Steven Spielberg. You heard of him. Now, he said to me, he said, you seem a little nervous. And he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm testifying before Congress tomorrow. And he says, well, listen, you seem to be passionate about it. He said, let me tell you something. He said, when I first made my first movie, not my first movie, but one movie that when I made E.T., He said, my friends, you remember E.T. when he phones home, he puts his little finger out to phone home. He said, people couldn't believe I didn't have children. But he said, I just had such a passionate desire to have children that it came through in that movie. He said, now later, when I had 5 children between my 2 marriages, I did Schindler's List as a legacy to my children because I had a passion to leave it. And then he told me he had adopted an African-American child, and he was going to adopt a second one so that they would have someone to really do cultural things with together. And they did. And I knew when I saw Lincoln come out this past year that he had also done a legacy to his African-American children, because now they have 7 children in their family. But anyway, so, and this is my husband with Steven Spielberg, my husband, Guy Earl Campbell, the guardian of my humility. And this is me jumping on the Lincoln bed, because I think life and money and everything, you got to have a little fun, right? Okay, so now then, follow your passion. One thing that passion is entrepreneurship. And I'm here today because I'm in the offices of the Arkansas Small Business and Technology Development Centers. And my students are so excited when they find out about these centers, because some of them already know, but they are all across the nation. They are everywhere in every state. And they'll give technology assistance, technical assistance, business advising, low-cost training. They're wonderful. They've helped me tremendously in my business, and they've helped many students. And you can go to the website that I have there, http://asbdc-us.org, and that is where you can find a small business development center in your area as well. A lot of them are connected with universities, but the thing is that their consulting is already prepaid with your tax dollars and other funds from your state. So it's a very reasonable and very wonderful, and all their people are highly trained. So I want you to know about that resources, because that's another way people do get rich in America, the free country, is through free enterprise. Now then, the takeaways today is that you will know who you are. You will know what you want, and you will know whom to trust to help you get those things as well. That you will understand the financial that you will live within your means, you'll save some of all that you earn, and that you will get proper insurance to protect those things, and that you will handle credit wisely and let it be your friend. And that you'll commit to do what it takes to achieve what you want, those really important goals. And as I said, you will be rewarded. Now, school is never out. It's really important that you continue to learn. And one way to do that is to take a newspaper or a magazine. Now, I like USA Today because it's colorful, it has pictures, and if we just, you know, go through it here, as you can see, it has financial things in the money section and lots of good stories. But I think it's important that you digest whatever you select, whatever thing that you say that you need to. Oh, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what is Dr. Mack doing with that paper? It looks to me like she's tearing that newspaper. That's why I like illusions. You think you're seeing something, but you're really not. And yet, looks like pieces, doesn't it? I've actually had people come up afterwards and they'll say, you know, Dr. Mack, I actually thought I heard sounds. Now listen to this. Pretty effective, right? That was a sound effect, no doubt about it. They said, I thought I saw sounds, I thought I saw little pieces. All of that really is effective as far as a magic trick. But here's the deal. There is no trick to your using your magic. If you do those basics, you really can do magic with your money. And I just hope that this newspaper goes back together. Let's see. Well, voila, what do you know? It happened. It did it. I just absolutely love it when it works. I absolutely love it when it works. That is great. That was fun. I enjoyed it. And I hope you got something from Money Magic, because the magic will work with if you do. You will be rewarded. And I am now available to take your questions. So let's hear. Oh gosh, this is great. Thank you, Jared Grace. He just asked me, we're going to go to questions now. is that dollar bill bow tie because he likes it. It is $100 bill bow tie. It's what it is, but it's also made out of plastic, so I can't spend it, and so I don't try because the Treasury Department would get me good. Thank you, Jared. Cynthia, okay. Tips for older non-traditional students. Cynthia, I have a lot of people like you in my classes, and they help so much because they give information. But what they also realize is that it's never too late. They get so turned on, and they've been doing things, and they're always finding ways to sharpen their saw. So yes, for the older student, start where you are and just start doing better in every area that you can, and take the areas where you're really good and go share those. There are groups at your church, there are groups in your communities. You could share helping people with things that you're already doing well. And then you will also learn other things that you can do better. So that's a great question. Thank you. It's, let's see if there's, yeah, okay. You're close to your sophomore, you're into sophomore year. Good for you. I'm so proud of you going back to school. It is never too late at all. Kiera, I'm a minority and I need help getting money. My mother is a single parent, mother of two. Our income cannot necessarily in a place to afford college. Work when I can do my case. Oh, good. You're a smart student. I am so proud of you. I would go to your high school counselor. I would also go to the city services. I would look for everything. There are unique scholarships that go unused every year. And I would try to find out some of the best college sources. Go online. Do not pay a scholarship firm. They take your money. They can't do anything you can't do for yourself. And so I am so glad that you want to get your education. We all realized in our family that that was really the way out for us. It was very important that we got our education. And so I applaud you. Keep trying. My email is up now. You feel welcome to email me, and I'll look for further resources. You'll tell me where you are, etc. Anyone is welcome to email me or ask me additional questions as well. But Kiera, good for you. Okay, Alex, will this PowerPoint be available online? Let me ask. Yes, it will be on demand after I end the sessions. So Kimberly just told me the answer to your question is yes, it will. I hope you liked it. I'm glad that you want to view it. Great. Okay. These are great questions. Thank you so much. Esteban. All right. All right. What would you recommend for international students in terms of saving and paying for college? Well, I think for international students, it's the same almost for everyone, but I have a lot of international students, and what we talk about is finding out what your personal situation is and what you can do for that. Now, some of my international students work, some do not, and so what they have found out too is that I had one last year from Brazil actually who came to the Small Business Development Center because he was also working with the small business. They were doing floors. He has learned to make more money by using the ASB TDC. And so he's learning how to kick that up and still stay in school. The thing I would say is the fact that you are really working on it. Seek out all the resources that you can. Again, go to your financial aid office on your campus. Those people know where the funds are, they know where the limitations are, and find you a friend. Make you a friend in the financial aid office as well, Esteban. Good luck for you, and I'm so glad you're here and going to school. Okay, this is a great one. Michaela wants to know, at what age can you start saving in an IRA? Well, I think that age is well, I started my son at IRA when he was 16, so I know that if you just have to have earned income. And so he had earned income, and I'm not sure, that's a good question. I need to find out technically what that is, and when he was working, I was matching some of what he was making because he had to have earned income that he showed, which he did. He was working at a grocery store, and so he had W-2s, etc. And so you have to do that. And sometimes it's a great thing to talk to your parents to see if they'll help you match some of what you're earning to put some into an IRA early so that that can have a chance to grow. And but also I think you might Google that one with the IRS to get that exact date. But I know I started his at 16 at that time, and it was legal. Okay, what can I find? Where can I find a budget template for a college student? Oh, great question. I'm so glad you want one of those. And I would say first, Google that. There are several out there, and then just click through them and find out the one that fits you, Shane, because if you go to Microsoft templates, they have great ones. I haven't found as basic a budget template as I did the balance sheet template. But if you find a really good one you like, email me. There's my mac@moneymagic.com. Mac stands for Mary Ann Campbell. And but great student. I'm glad you want to do that. And again, if you want to use those apps for your phones, etc., or you may not, if you don't have a smartphone, you can also get that app free, mint.com, on your computer. All right, and then Michaela again. Oh, great question. What's the difference between a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA? Okay, the Roth was just named after the senator that helped create it, but here's the difference. It's a huge difference. A traditional IRA, you put after-tax money in it. You actually get a tax deduction for putting money into that IRA. So if you get out and you got a high-income job after school and you want to, it's going to kick you into a higher tax bracket, you might want to put more in your IRA, get that tax deduction, and then not have to pay as high a tax rate. However, when you retire and you take that money out because you got the tax deduction on the front end, you have to pay taxes on the back end. So when you get out, you have to pay taxes. But here's the Roth. It is magical. On the Roth, you put money in after it's taxed. So you go to work and you get your money and then you say, okay, I want to put money in a Roth IRA. And when you do, it's after tax money. The exciting part is that when you retire and take the money out, it is never taxed. It can grow for the next 40 years and it can grow to a big mountain. You could have it in maybe value stock funds that happen to perhaps do well. There's no guarantee of that over the years, and have a huge amount of money in there. And when you draw it out, you never pay taxes on it. Now, the other good thing is that you can put some in both. You can put some in a traditional and to bring that tax bracket down, and you can put some into a Roth. So you can say, I'm going to have some money when I retire that when I draw it out, I don't have to pay taxes on it. I draw out whatever I need and I spend it. Also, the Roth has some more liberal rules for being able to borrow from it and to be able to leave it to heirs. So you need to kind of go online to look at those specifics. It does have income levels about when you can contribute to it, but they've raised those and how much you contribute. So great question. You can do some of both, but the Roth is a great thing. Get it before they take it away. Right now you can still do a Roth, and I think if they ever take that tax advantage away, they would grandfather in any Roth accounts that were already out there. So it's a good deal. All right, and then if you can't apply for the FAFSA, what's the option to pay for university? Well, the only thing I can tell you right now is I would look at internships. I would talk to them about working on campus. I worked on campus. I worked 20 hours a week while I was in school, plus my student loans. It took me 10 years to pay off. Was I ever glad to have gotten those? I could not have gotten my education without them. And so I would look at, we have, well, yeah, see what you can get. Now, I know on our campus, the students who major in insurance get great internships when they're in school. They get paid very good money. And so look for areas where you can possibly qualify. So, and I had to do a lot of part-time. I would run out of money and then get back in school, be in school and run out of money again, just like other members of our family, but we kept going for the prize because it doesn't matter unless you get across the finish line. You got to get across the finish line. So again, hold in there. I'm glad you're working on it, Esteban. Good luck to you. Let me know what you find out. Okay, let's see. A state grant and 2 loans. Started college. Applied, believe it's not going to. Now I start to pay the loans, and one of them is 6.8%. Okay. Okay. Here's the deal on loans. If your loan went up, but it was not a government loan, it's private loans are just more expensive, period. And then they did change the interest rate on government loans. So you might could get an extension with, again, I would go to the financial aid office first. I would ask them. They are very knowledgeable. They do this every day to see what your options are on that. To try to, Arlette, try to see how they can help you on that. I don't know specifically how to help you because that makes it difficult, but keep trying. And let me say this too, when we're talking about student loans, because you can end up in student loan hell by having too much loans. And one thing I see sometimes, people getting too many loans. So when you do get student loans, only get for what you need, because that is a loan. You will have to pay it back. And it's not even discharged in bankruptcy. I mean, it is an important chain around your ankle. And I see too many students in my classes with both credit card debt and student loan debt that's going to put them 10 years behind when they graduate. So really try to stay on top of that. So again, you might work a semester or work a year to try to get some of that paid down and then get back in. I mean, I was in and out. It took me 6 years to get my undergraduate, you know, and 6 years to get my master's and 5 years to get my PhD. It's like I never did go straight through it all because I was trying to pay and go but there is time on your side and you can keep going. Good for you for being in school, first of all. All right, and let's see. I've got another one. Oh, good. She said that Tamsin Butler did the complete guide to personal finance for teenagers and college students and did a live chat earlier today. Great. Wonderful. I am so glad to hear that. Wasona, thank you for letting me know that. I will check that out. I wasn't familiar with that, and that will give me great information. I'll update that and use that as a resource. Oh, I thank you so much when you share that with me. Please continue to do that. Okay. All right, let's see our next one. These are great. Let's see. We received a contract from United Airlines. Our employer were given a lump sum. Retroactive pay. This is not retroactive. Ooh. Oh, okay. Someone received a lump sum and doesn't want that to show on their FAFSA. I think that you have documentation to show that. Again, I would go straight to the financial aid office and I would take every documentation with me and I would say this is not reflective of our normal income. This was a one-time deal. How do I still have my graduating senior qualify for the FAFSA and not be penalized for this lump sum payout with this merger of the airlines with United and American? So I think that's a great question. And yeah, okay. All right. Esteban asked me, what is the difference between private and federal loans? Well, one thing is high interest. First of all, the federal loans are subsidized. It's a great question. They are going to be paid back at a lower interest. You have a forgiveness. You're a 6 months period where you can waive before you start paying on them. There are so many advantages to a federal loan. Try to get federal money if at all possible. The private you go to as a second step because private is always going to be more expensive. They are more restrictive in their rules, and so it's a big difference. It's just a wonderful question. I like that very much. Okay, Sally from Texas wants to know, she wants to sell a car. How can I know the value on the car? Great question, Sally. And the way to do that is you want to go to 3 good websites. One is kbb.com. That stands for Kelley Blue Book. You used to have to go in the bank and ask them to share that book with you, and you used to need to bank with that banker. But anyway, not anymore. You just go online, you go to kbb.com, and you will find out, you put in the particulars about the car, and then you will find out what they say is the value if it's in whatever kind of condition it's in. The second website would be to go to edmunds.com. That's EDMONDS, edmunds.com. And they will also give you a value. And then go to the third website would be NADA Guide, the National Automobile Dealership Association Guide.com, and they will give you, you take those 3 prices, average them, and you're going to have a really good feel about what you could get for your car. And I'll tell you, that helped me so much. I think a lot of times as women, we're not quite as up on cars, and I went to help my mother sell her car, and I was just not knowing it, and I thought, wait a second, I gotta go online, because someone had said, well, this is a price you ought to put on it, and so I thought about it, and I went online. We added $1,000 when I put all of the things that were on her car and everything. We could have sold that car 3 times. I was about to let it go for $1,000 less than I was going to let it go until I got the facts. The facts help you so much in today's world, and they're available to us, and you can trust those 3 websites on being credible facts to get the absolute ballpark that you need to be in. So great question. I like it a lot. Okay, let's see. All right, let's see another one. All right, here's another one. How do I get more spending money from home, Zach? Okay, well, Zach, one way is to use some of the forms I was telling you about. Be accountable. Say, look to your parents, this is what I'm spending my money on. Now, if you have a legitimate reason that you don't have enough for school supplies or for the things that you really need, the toiletries and the things that you really need to be in school with, then, but if you use a spreadsheet or mint.com and it says a whole lot of beer or a whole lot of concert tickets or things like that, then maybe you won't get it. So again, kind of go about it in a more of a business-like way. And not that you don't deserve to have some beer and to eat out and go to a concert every once in a while. That's what college is about. It's very much a part of the fabric. But just approach this in a more mature way and say, look, I really need some more, and here's why. And here's where I spent my money, and here's where I need it. So again, when you deal with facts, it will really kind of help you. Okay, let's see what else. All right, that's good. Okay. Okay, Mario. Mario says, a lot of students around me seem to have a lot of free money. How do they have gadgets, how do I stay up? Well, I'll tell you what. Here's what I want you to realize, Mario, right off. A lot of times people who appear to have money may not have that much money, and a lot of people who don't appear to have money may have a lot of money. I recommend that you read The Millionaire Next Door. There are people who live right next door to you who have money in the bank, but they don't have the flashiest cars. They don't have the biggest houses because they've learned that where the grass is greener, the water bills are higher. And so they do a pretty good job of being very sensible. Now, you just keep your head down and decide between wants and needs. You know, we want a lot of things, but what do you really need? As long as you're getting what you need, and as long as you're safe, and as long as you're going toward your goal of education, then when you graduate, you can get some of those gadgets, and you can get some of those fads, and you can be out there. But I would say right now, just go ahead and keep your head down and don't worry about what other people are doing or saying, because you never really know what's going on in their real life or with their real financials. I can tell you from seeing a lot of different things inside of people's financial lives. The outside doesn't always show what's going on inside and underneath. Okay, let's see. Okay, okay, here's another one. All right, these are great. All right. Oh, okay. You talked about goals. Okay. Oh yeah. All right, the goals thing. Yes. The goals are extremely powerful because they help you focus. They keep you from making a lot of financial mistakes. You have to stop and think that, I mean, you can't even go to the bathroom today without, in a public bathroom, without there being an advertisement on the back of the door. I mean, advertising's everywhere. Everybody's trying to get us to separate from our money, get our money out of our purse or our wallet for something they want to sell us. So it's really important that you are have these goals that you set. If you share your financial life with someone else, make sure that you get together with those goals. Talk about what's on your bucket list, what's on their bucket list, and what are on your financial goals and their financial goals, and you have to compromise sometimes to achieve those goals. But the thing is that that keeps you focused, and then it also keeps you happy, because it's one thing to get out of college and get a good job and make money and consider yourself successful, but it's another thing to be able to realize the happiness of success. And when you've set goals and you get that sense of achievement, you also get that sense of happiness. You're not always trying to get to the next rung. You always say, hey, I did something. You can just reach around and pat yourself on the back. And so I think happiness is equally as important as being successful, because that's a big part of being successful, is being happy with what you have and having realistic expectations of your life and of what you're going to do. So, okay, here's another one. Okay. Oh, aha. Darius says he has a girlfriend who, let's get this going down here, who, let me read this, Darius, has bad credit, is now using his credit cards, and says she's going to slow it down, but he's not sure if that's a deal breaker or not. Well, let me tell you, Darius, I don't know either, but here's what I'll tell you. I think that right now, before people get married, don't only get a blood test, get a credit score on each of you, and make sure, because I'm telling you, you could get into credit card hell as well, and you just don't want to start off a marriage when you're not communicating well about what you value. It goes all the way back to the values and to your responsibilities. So if you're with a person now who's not being responsible and they're reaching over and getting your credit cards, here's what can happen. It can damage you. And we talked about all those things that credit affects. Then if y'all go to get an apartment, you may not get an apartment, because not only is her credit bad, now your credit's bad. So you don't get the apartment you want. So I want to just remind you that it's really important to make sure that you're very open about these things, and you're very open about what the credit score is. So I want to thank all of you for looking in. I want to thank you for listening, and great questions. This will be on demand after I end this session, which I'm about to do. Again, I thank you. I am Dr. Ann Cambell. I'm a certified financial planner, and I teach at the University of Central Arkansas in Conway, Arkansas. I teach family and consumer sciences, personal and family finance, and I teach in the College of Business, personal finance. So it's been my pleasure. Thank you for a wonderful program on College Week Live. I'm so glad you do this, Kimberly. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.